Hey guys, welcome to Batch TV. Today we're talking about one of the best lists you can pull in your business using BatchLeads. Check this out. So I'm super excited for today's topic, so we're going to get right into it. But what I want to break down today is vacant properties, but also abandoned homes and kind of the differences there. And when you're pulling these lists, how you can essentially set yourself apart, because there are so many lists that are front of mind within BatchLeads and different softwares where you have quick lists like this. So instead of just pulling quick lists, which there's nothing wrong with doing that, but what I want to showcase for you all today is how you can just build better lists and kind of some of the differences that you might find when pulling this data and a bit about the process. So let's jump into my BatchLeads account. We're going to go to property search. I'm sure you guys have seen a ton on this tool. It's an incredible area that you can pull list of not only opportunities, but also cash buyers. We can kind of talk about that today too, but you can definitely find additional resources on BatchTV, but also if you go to the B in the bottom left, you can find our help center. So be sure to go and view our up-to-date articles, videos, anything that you're needing help on, you can check that out, or even just drop a comment down below with questions. So let's go into property search, and I already have Phoenix typed out. You can use the search bar, you can use the boundary tool, draw something out if you want to, and start checking out maybe a specific subdivision or neighborhood. But let's just go to Phoenix, start over from the beginning. You can look up zip codes, counties, state. We're gonna go to the city of Phoenix though. Type it out, grab it from the drop down, and the system's gonna always generate just the grand total without any filters set by default. And what I always like to tell people to do first is not just jump right into these quick filters. I always say to grab your strategy first. The first thing that I want to mention especially with vacant properties, as we're talking about these today, vacant doesn't always mean that they're in disrepair or those are going to be motivated sellers. They could be in between tenants. It could be vacant on the MLS, just waiting for somebody to purchase that property. There's a whole bunch of different reasons why a property might be vacant. So that's what I want to talk about more today, how you can build an actual vacant list that's going to be ultimately better conversations, and you'll run into more motivated sellers within that list rather than something that's really large and it could be not what you're looking for. So instead of just jumping right into pulling this quick filter, which you could, I would say choose your strategy first. Let's look for off-market vacant properties. You can already see that my numbers have changed. It's already gone down. I can't remember the number it was at before, but it was in the 8,000 number. So already it's made a difference to our list, which makes definitely an impact. Now, what you could do is, first off, of course, you could just grab the quick filter. If you wanted to, you don't care about the other filters, you could select them and save it. But I'm telling you now that once again, some of these properties might be vacant in between tenants. They could have been vacant for maybe a month and now somebody's about to move in, but we want to build a better quality list. So we're gonna go into our all filters. The other thing that I wanna call out for those of you that are in our newer plans, that within only looking at off market, it'll go away if you choose anything else or you don't have this selected. But when you're looking for off market opportunities, you do have this batch rank AI tool. This has a built-in algorithm and it will find you those property owners that have a higher likelihood of being motivated to sell. So keep this in mind, whether you use it front of mind to find vacant properties that have a certain level of batch rank, you will be limited depending on your plan. So like for me, I'm in the highest plan. I can go all the way up to most likely and filter that down. You could use it right there in the beginning, or maybe you build some filters that are very specific to what you need the list to have, like maybe property type. Maybe you put it on top later, but don't forget about this tool if you have it in your account. I'm going to turn it off for now, just because I do want to have the ability to use the filters to show you the power behind the different choices that you have. So let's go into all filters right here. So yes, we have applied this vacant filter, but maybe on top of it, you really want to make sure that they are a certain type of property. So I'm going to choose residential, single family. For me, once again, if you're looking for commercial or something different, take your time to go through the different categories here. There's a lot you can do if you're looking for mobile or manufactured properties or duplexes or apartments that have a certain number of units. Definitely take the time to go through those, but we're going to keep it really simple just to show you the power behind your filters. You could filter out things like bedrooms, bathrooms, the characteristics of the property, or home features if you wanted to, but I'm going to just go over some of the big ones here. Let's also go into the year build. I also don't really want to pull up vacant properties that were just built a couple months ago and they're brand new builds waiting for their first first occupant, I'm going to look for older properties. Now, when you're thinking about the differences between things like a vacant property or an abandoned property, a vacant property, those are all marked by USPS, something that's maybe they haven't been picking up their mail for 60 days type deal, and it could be in great condition. On the other hand, with something like an abandoned property, it could be that it's been sitting there without an occupant for a year, and it might have a lot more signs of disrepair. It might need to be a larger project. So be thinking about those things when you're pulling these lists with the types of properties you're looking for. Are you looking for something that's maybe going to be closer to being move-in ready with just some fresh carpet, paint, and so on? Or are you looking for something that's going to need a full gut or to be a full rehab project? And we're going to say like a year built of 2000. So it was built no later than the year 2000. I'm going to also go down to ownership info. This is one of the most important filters by far, regardless of what list you're pulling in your account. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had people pull a list or people say, hey, this property just sold. Be sure to tell the system that you need it to have been owned for X amount of time. This makes also a huge impact in the quality of your list. So let's find properties that have been owned, let's say a minimum of 7 years. And you can always adjust these things, and you might make different changes based on your market and things that you're aware of within your area. But let's just apply this minimum years ownership of 7 years. They've owned it for a good chunk of time. Now you can apply a ton of other filters. We can talk about those as well, but these are just the basics. Already you're building a much higher quality list just by telling the system that they must be a certain type, that they need to be an older property, and they need to have been owned for X amount of time. I haven't done that much, but just adding a few filters has made this a much smaller but a better quality vacant list. Now, if we wanted to take it further, there's a lot more you could do. First off, remember, you could put batch rank on top of this. Maybe I need them to have kind of this built-in algorithm on this list to make sure that they have a higher likelihood of being motivated to sell. Of course, this is going to cut down your list to find those properties with higher potential motivation. So this is a great method to go about and just have the system do that for you with all of those different distress indicators built in behind the scenes. Or also be thinking about other options kind of within your quick filter section here. This is going to have the same categories that you had previously on the map quick filters, but the difference here, and people miss out on this, is that you can stack list. So maybe you don't only want these to be vacant, but you also need them to be going through pre-foreclosure currently. Maybe, and that's another thing to be thinking about with these vacant properties or abandoned properties, is there a deeper situation that's made the property owner leave their home and stop maintaining it compared to just a vacant property that they're maintaining for the most part in between tenants, etc. So if you can add additional distress indicators, you're going to be finding more of those abandoned properties, more of the properties that need that TLC compared to something that might need less maintenance. So let's go to maybe apply one of these, something that I really like to do in building these vacant lists. And I'm going to take batch rank off too, just because it's cutting down our list quite a bit. But I really like to go into using things like maybe not only are these properties empty and vacant, but maybe they've tried to sell them and they've failed to sell. You can see in this failed listings filter, these are canceled, expired, or just withdrawn and taken off the market properties. So at one point, this property owner said, hey, I'd like to sell my property, and they were unable to do so for whatever the reason is that you can find out when you reach out to these property owners. So let's go ahead and pull this list. Hopefully this makes sense. Where vacant properties, that's a great list to pull. It's just a different situation to be thinking about. Maybe not only is the property vacant, but it's been abandoned due to additional indicators. So keep that in mind as you're pulling these lists. There's nothing wrong with pulling a massive list that you might find in your quick list with any of these categories, but you can build a much more custom, much more focused list just by adding a couple filters. Anyway, let's go and see our results, and we're going to look at a couple of them before we save them. Keep also in mind that in the past few months, BatchLeads started including contact information. So skip tracing is completely included on all of your saved data. So after I save these properties into my account, I'm going to automatically get their phone numbers and email addresses, which is so powerful. There's nothing standing in your way with taking action, getting on the phone and seeing what's happening with their situation. So I'm going to go ahead and let's just open up one of these properties to give you an idea here. So something like this has been owned for 26 years. Let's see if there's many pictures. Doesn't look like it's being maintained at all. This is probably more of closer to something that's been abandoned. There's going to be a lot more repairs that are going to be necessary. People probably haven't been occupying this property for a really long time, rather than it just being in between occupants. And then also in the property details, which you can always look at this stuff later, by the way, when you save it into your account, but you have a built-in comping tool. You can start running your numbers, start seeing what's going on down the street from this property, what properties have recently sold. Are there cash buyers in this area that are maybe looking for another project? So there is also the sale and loan tab that you can expand and go into more details. Tax information, MLS data, if applicable to what you're looking at. Obviously, we've pulled up an off-market list. Don't forget about the value of the MLS tab, where you can always see the description, if applicable to what you're looking at, and the agent's information will be included down on that page too, for those of you that connect with agents and build those relationships. You can see where you have them saved in your list and tags eventually. You have foreclosure information, if applicable. The owner profile shows you what other properties that owner owns. Great for looking at portfolios of cash buyers and just in general to see if an owner owns another property. And then what you've done with the property so far. Under the activities tab, when you save things to your account, you'll be able to see what you've done with it. Don't forget to look at the distress indicators. It will tell you the level of batch rank it falls under, whether it's low, medium, or high, and then additional points like if they're in pre-foreclosure, if they're a retired landlord, if they have unknown equity, and so on. Now, if you want to save the properties you pull up, you can just click select all of them or a certain number. I'm just going to grab all of them and click save the properties, save them to something that's very organized and clear within your account. These are vacant failed listings, so I'm going to put them into a very clear vacant failed listings list I have. And what I always do with the tag is I reference the name of the list as a subcategory, and I include the market along with the date. And typically I'll do that by the month and the year. It's so easy to find the data. There should be no question about what's hiding in your list and tags. So let's go ahead and click save. And we're going to go into my list. And like I said, it should be a breeze to find your information as long as you've been naming them nice and clearly. Then you're going to go up to the list and tag section at the top of the screen, and you'll be able to find the list or tag. And there it is, super easy. And I had no difficulty finding that information. Once you have it pulled up, remember you have all included contact information in those new plans and batch leads, also showing you what level of batch rank they fall under. Once again, you can see this list that I built, they all have a high batch rank, high likelihood to be motivated to sell. And you can open up the details and start looking at them here. And if you want to, you can also select things off to the left, use your actions to export things, put them into a campaign, push them into Podio, add them to Batch Dialer if you have an account to start dialing, and organize them here as well. Using your quick filters can help you pull great lists super efficiently, but don't forget about your additional filters. If today's video was helpful for you, be sure to drop a comment down below for us, subscribe to our channel and hit that like button, and be sure to join our free community with the link in the description. And we hope to see you guys back here on some of our next videos on BatchTV.